Hello and welcome. Another edition on the topic, which is red hot right now within the college baseball recruiting space. It is the topic of postgraduate high school experience. What is it? What does it entail? And more importantly, how does it help the high school student athlete? So today I thought we would go back and have a deeper discussion with someone that I feel is intimately knowledgeable, has lived the process over the last 9 years at Deerfield Academy, head baseball coach at Deerfield Academy, Pat Moriarty. And we thought, Coach, you would kind of bring a couple of your postgraduate athletes that are currently living the experience, so that would offer some insight for not only parents but more importantly the student athletes. Why don't you introduce your student athletes here that are joining us today, Pat?
Sure, and thanks for having me again, Walter. It's a pleasure to be with you. Yeah, so I invited three of our top postgraduates who are not only really good players, but special people and really strong students. All that I might add are multi-sport athletes as well. Aiden Barclay, his story was sort of he was committed last year, needed an extra year. He's committed at Cornell, came here for a postgraduate year to get bigger, faster, stronger, smarter, grow a little bit further academically, socially, and athletically. Then we had Tate Banish, who was previously committed to an Ivy League school, was decommitted, came for an extra year, and right around the end of the summer committed to Tufts. And then Jake Kavanaugh from Ohio came here as well. And he's someone that we're still currently working with in the process, has a couple different offers, and should be hopefully committing within the next week or so.
You know, guys, I really appreciate you taking some time to join us today. This is a really big topic within the world of college recruiting, not only with regard to baseball, but really all sports. And Jake, I'm going to start with you because you know you're from Ohio. How familiar were you with the opportunities that postgraduate programs would offer you, and what made you choose Deerfield?
Yeah. So my dad went to a rival boarding school of Deerfield, and he always talked about it, but I never got into it before for this year. And then I decided to do a PG year for three reasons. Like, I wanted more computer science experience because I want to major in that in college, and my old school didn't have uh, any courses in that. I also like the baseball team here and baseball program is exceptional, and I wanted more experience before going off to college. And I'm also pretty young for my grade, so I thought another year of development would help in like maturity. But at Deerfield especially, like the sense of community is so strong. Like I remember walking around with Coach Moriarty on my like revisit day or whatever it's called, and like everyone says hi to him, and like you can just feel how much deeper the connections are here than at some of the other schools I was looking at.
You know, I think that's really powerful. That's what kicks us off, and you know something that Tate, maybe you can kind of share with us because you're kind of going through a process that a lot of athletes are dealing with, and that is that you know that evil word decommitting and kind of getting into that turmoil of where will I go? Why is this happening to me? Talk a little bit about how the experiences at Deerfield has kind of helped you with regard to being able to make a great decision to attend Tufts, and what Coach Moriarty does with regard to helping his athletes with the recruiting process.
Of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me. And kind of to add on to Coach Mo, he did such a great job and kind of reaching out to me when I became a decommitted, and he knew I was looking for a home for a PG year to get that extra year. And him and my summer coaches worked really well together and kind of facilitating options for me and kind of narrowing it down so I could have the best choice. One, because I wanted to major in economics, and we both kind of talked about how we wanted to prioritize that in the recruitment. as well as just play for a great staff and a part of a great program, great academically and really good athletically. So Coach Mo and my summer coaches really work together. And I think that's the thing I really want to emphasize is that the coaches here at Deerfield work really well with kind of outside sources and outside teams you're already a part of, and they really help you work together instead of being antagonizing forces. They really come together and help you make the best decision possible for yourself.
A little bit about your background, where are you from? And, when your original college recruiting process began, did you have any knowledge of what a postgraduate year was all about or how it would help you?
So I'm from Wellesley, Massachusetts. And what's funny is my dad actually came here. He was the class of 1981. So he's good experience.
Good year.
Here.
That's a good year right there.
He knows Deerfield well. So obviously my original recruiting process, I wasn't expected to be here, but things turned out as they did. And my dad was quick to point out that this was such a great spot. And obviously talking with Coach Mo, things happened pretty quickly and ended up being here. So I couldn't be happy for the decision I made to come to Deerfield.
And Aiden, why don't you kind of chime in here? Were you familiar with the postgraduate opportunity and what it would entail, or did you learn about that after speaking with Coach Moriarty?
I played with the New England Roughnecks program, and I was actually fortunate to meet Coach Mo. I want to say my 15-year-old or 16-year-old summer. So I knew about Deerfield, and obviously same boat as Tate. I wasn't expecting to do a postgraduate year, but when kind of the way my recruiting process happened, Coach Mo and Deerfield, it was one of my top choices. So that's how I kind of ended up here.
Now, was this a suggestion by your college coach or tell us a little bit about your recruiting experience with regard to your opportunity at the college level, and how did Deerfield fit with regard to your recruiting at your school of choice?
Yeah. So when I first talked to Cornell, they were already full in their 24 class. So they suggested I apply on my own, and I went through that process. I didn't end up getting in, so I talked to them, and we agreed on doing a postgraduate year and being committed in the 25 class. And at Deerfield, I think it matches up with Cornell academically for sure. I mean, they're both top-notch institutions, so that's kind of how I wanted to take this year, prepare academically to acclimate myself, and then obviously I have the year to put on weight, get better at baseball, all those things as well.
Well, first, before I go to Coach Mo, a.k.a. Coach Moriarty, Coach Mo has definitely nailed it. You three young men are extremely articulate, really explained your processes really well. So on that note, Pat, I would love for you to kind of explain, as when you're interested in a potential postgraduate student, there's a lot of hurdles that you have to kind of overcome. One, for some young men in high school, they don't understand the value of the postgraduate opportunity. And more importantly, from a parent's perspective, I think all three young men just perfectly explained three different scenarios where the postgraduate opportunity really helps and benefits them, not only for the sport of baseball, but for life. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that when you're speaking with prospective parents and student athletes?
Yeah, I think at Deerfield, Walter, we want student athletes first of all, but we want students that are going to buy into the whole process here and buy into the community. Yeah, we're going to make these guys better at baseball, without a doubt. But we're going to make them better at the game of life, right? And in life. I'm going to, for these guys, I help tailor their academic schedules here to make sure that they, had balance, I guess, but we're being challenged enough in meeting the requirements of the said schools that they're interested in or already committed to. So we're going to look for the best of the best, to be honest with you. We're going to look for students that, in this case here, all three of them are two-sport athletes. A couple of these guys, if not all three, were captains at their respective schools before they came here. So we're going to look for, high academics, leadership, buy-in, athleticism, and just having sort of an open mind to coming here with their eyes and ears wide open, ready to grow academically, socially, and athletically.
Jake, I would love for you to kind of share your experience if you can. When I talk to a lot of families across the country, even up and into Canada, I try to get them to understand you're not repeating your senior year. This isn't like going through the 12th grade again. This is also going to kind of allow you as a high school graduate to learn the ropes, so to speak, about what it takes to be a college student, not only a student athlete, with regard to roommate and campus and things of that nature. Can you kind of share your initial thoughts and then subsequently your experiences, when you first started at Deerfield?
Yeah. I mean, Deerfield and all these other similar schools are all very like top of the line academics. Like you're definitely going to be challenged. Like you can't come in here expecting to like not do any homework and not put any work in to get good grades. Like my old school was pretty challenging, and I feel like this is still another step up. I do think compared to college though, like it's very good preparation. Like the people I've talked to that are in college right now that have come from here have said that like, oh, Deerfield was so much harder than where I'm at right now.
Well, Aiden, I would love for you to kind of, you guys are really looking into, and when I'm talking with a lot of parents, I always talk in my world, as well as probably with Coach Moriarty, when we start talking about college, I always say the big three with regard to athletics and academics: Ivy League, NESCAT, and Patriot League. And the three of you sound as if you're well on your way to, each of those conferences. Can you talk a little bit about, just your classmates, your campus life, your, not necessarily just the baseball program, but the other students that are there at Deerfield? What has that been like assimilating into that atmosphere?
Right. And I think the most important part is, although like Tate and I were both from Massachusetts, it's about 2 hours to get home. Jake's from Ohio. We're all living away from home. So that's like the most important part. You're doing everything on your own. And sure, you have Coach Mo, your teachers, your advisor to push you, but they're not there to hold your hand. So you really have to get stuff done. And you can push stuff off, but it doesn't necessarily end well. So, I mean, you see that a lot with their kids here who are not here just for sports. They're here just for the academics. So in the classroom, if you want to achieve, you have to meet up to their expectations. And that's not a bad thing. I think competition is healthy. So
now I would love if you guys could kind of talk a little bit about Tate, if you could, the football team, the girls soccer team, the camaraderie, you haven't been there for 4 years. So what has that been like as far as meeting your new teammates, your classmates, the faculty? Is it more of a global type of faculty? Same thing with your student body. What has that been like as an experience as a student at Deerfield?
I think Deerfield does a great job in really making you feel welcome the minute you step on campus. Most of the staff knew my name right when I stepped on campus. They knew something about me, that I was a baseball player, that I played basketball. Like it really felt like home the minute I stepped on campus, not only for when I visited, but when I actually came for my first day. And they also do a really good job of kind of incorporating you into the senior class. So it's kind of like you are a part of that senior class, which is nice because you don't feel alienated walking around have the post-grad label. You're truly part of the school in a unique way. And I think that it was super easy to make friends, to have a good time here pretty much immediately because the school does such a great job and really including you and having activities for you and giving you chances to meet new people in such unique ways.
Pat, I know that you and I have spoken, kind of off camera here and talking about, a lot of parents that are not familiar with the post-grad experience think that this is something that's relatively new. It's kind of a byproduct of the upcoming changes that are going to be occurring in 2025, 2026 with regard to college athletics. But truly, boarding schools or the postgraduate year, not only has it been around for decades, centuries, but it really does provide students with a unique opportunity as far as preparation for life, as you've mentioned here earlier. But I would love for you to kind of share your experiences over the last several years. There, you must see an uptick with not only requests for more information, but kind of more of a year of growth mentally, physically, athletically. Can you kind of share your experience as a coach and where you kind of see Deerfield, but more importantly, the postgraduate world, what that next step might look like with all these changes coming to college athletics?
Yeah, I think taking over this program 8 years ago, I bet our overall inquiries into the program at that time were probably 20 to 30 families a year, where it's grown now, to 3 or 4 years ago to probably about 100 inquiries a year, and that's across 4 grades. To most recently this year, we'll probably go to 125, 130, 140 inquiries in the program. So certainly a lot of interest, not just in the PG piece. I bet you the PG piece probably 50 applicants or so, or 50 interested players right now. So certainly a lot of interest. But what I see with this extra year is, especially with a student that hasn't boarded before, is living away from home, being independent, as a couple of the players I mentioned earlier tonight. I think when people think of Deerfield Academy, they think of academics, right? They think of tradition, a deep, deep tradition, right? I think of students learning time management, valuable time management skills. I think of students learning how to use their voice with adults in the community, being able to make that meeting, ask for extra help, to be vulnerable a little bit. I think that's what we teach the best here. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I helped these guys build their schedules and everything else for this year. We can easily have an incoming student doing 4 or 5 hours of homework a night. That's not what this year is intended to. It's not what it's intended for. It's intended for growth academically, certainly, and a chance to take some classes that maybe, a student hadn't had a chance to take in their previous school, or to try and find some new interests or passions. But it's to have balance socially, athletically, and academically. Whereas we hope at the end of the day, maybe they're doing an hour and a half a night of homework instead of the 5 hours.
Tate, I'm going to start with you. And every time I talk to a student athlete, their question to me is, why? What's the purpose? Why do I need that year? I'm going to ask each of you this same question, and we'll start with you, sir. When you initially were looking into Deerfield, what was your initial reaction? And as we sit here and talk today, what advice would you give a high school junior or senior if they are giving consideration to a postgraduate year, not only specifically about Deerfield, but just your experience with regard to your postgrad year?
I just say step out of your comfort zone. Obviously, having this extra year is not the greatest. We've seen, or at least from the outlook, seeing like all my friends in college and seeing like how much fun they're having, either being an athlete or just being a student. And this obviously not being the most appealing thing to do high school for another year, but truly step out of your comfort zone, because the minute I stepped on campus, I realized, oh, this is such a great decision that I made. And so kind of pushing yourself and being able to experience things that you aren't necessarily want to do from the beginning or aren't comfortable with is certainly valuable in my opinion.
And Jake, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say in Ohio, people look at me like I'm crazy when I told them I was going to do a 5th year of high school. But like Tate said, like I think it's a great decision. And like when I was deciding between doing a 5th year of high school and just going straight to college, like you don't lose anything you just take an extra year to get into college and to graduate and start work after. But like I mean, I don't think you really want to be done, but also like the connections you make here and like friends you make while you're at Deerfield or whatever PG school are like going to stay with you the rest of your life. So.
And Aiden, I have a question specifically for you. Do you feel, as a prospective Ivy League student, that it would benefit you more just to kind of take a gap year and kind of go lift and kind of go do some skill work on the side? Or do you think you're going to be better prepared for Cornell or the Ivy League experience because of your opportunities at Deerfield?
I think 100% without a doubt I'll be better prepared. I just think it speaks to the caliber of the school, the caliber of the teachers, kind of what I'm interested in and what I'm learning here, that I really have enjoyed it so far. And to be completely honest, going in over the summer, I was like, this is different. Like, I'm not 100% sure I'm going to like it. And I do like it. So I think that's kind of, that speaks to it. I really have enjoyed it. So.
And this is last question. And guys, I really have to add this. You guys are, in my perspective, I interview a lot of student athletes. I talk to a lot of parents, and I talk to a lot of student athletes. And the three of you collectively, as well as individually, extremely well spoken, extremely articulate, and you've been able to convey in such a way that I feel that families and parents and student athletes alike are going to benefit from this particular conversation. And so, Pat, a lot of parents now are getting told, let you just go do JUCO, or just take a gap year, go lift some weights, go get some skill set development, train with a hitting instructor, a pitching coach, etc. I would love for you to kind of hammer the point home. Here you have the opportunity to spend all 10 to 12 months with young men. You get to know them before they become adults. Talk about your experience as a coach over the last 8 years, watching, teenagers at the end of their, I guess we'll call it childhood, and entering into adulthood before they go off to college. Talk a little bit about what it's meant to you as a coach as well as a teacher.
Sure. Yeah. And I might add, Walter, too, that these three young men come from really, really good schools and really, really good families.
I can tell.
So,
I mean, it's easy to, first of all, if I'm a parent, and I applaud all three of you, your parents should be extremely proud, because you are absolutely 100% the type of athletes, students that I feel are conveying the message that I wish more families would hear, and more importantly, take the opportunity. So, Pat, go ahead. Didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, and I'm blessed to have these three. These guys have been awesome. They've been great members of the community and everything else. Give me the question again. I'm sorry.
What it's like to be a part of these student athletes' lives at this phase of their academic and athletic career. It's really a unique experience for you, because you watch high school graduates come in and they mature physically, mentally, but they're prepared to become young adults on a college campus within the next 12 months.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's probably the most rewarding part of my job here is being able to design the team with the sort of culture, with the sort of skill set that I look for, that I think is a winning recipe. And it's been very successful here. As I mentioned before, we're a couple of hits away from probably being back-to-back champs. We won it last year, but I can kind of put my own stamp on my program with guys like this. And it's also even, it's a little more interesting and a little more chancy, even recruiting the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. But, I think what's most important in this all, and we want to win, and we're going to win if we recruit guys like this, this skill level, this sort of personality, this sort of work ethic. But I think what's most important, and you maybe we disagree or whatever, maybe we don't, is helping place the students at the next level. But also, even this past weekend, I had my catcher who graduated last year was here to come back to watch a football game. And, we were chatting down at the football game, and he said, "Hey, can I come back over at night and can we hang out a little bit and just catch up some more?" So I think probably what makes me most proud is not only watching the development as people and as players and as good citizens of our community, but also the fact that these students want to come back and want to say hello and want to visit the school or myself or their friends again. That's important to me.
Well, guys, I want to say thank you very much. This is going to wrap up the entire segment. We've talked to coaches, college coaches. We've talked to families that have gone through the process, families that have lived it as far back as 10 years ago. But you guys absolutely are closing the chapter on this topic. And I want to say thank you very much. Parents, athletes, if you have questions, not only for Coach Moriarty or any of the athletes, please feel free, leave it in the comment section down below. I'm going to have everything about Deerfield. I've gotten this question from a few parents over the last couple of weeks in the description below, both on the podcast as well as our YouTube video segments. So anything you would like to share with Coach Moriarty, I'll make sure that he gets it, but I'll also have his contact information in the description below. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you have tight schedules, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.